executive coach, focusing on working with individuals who have been between two different cultures. They kind of grew up in the West, but you had a different culture that you grew up with, be it if you were Indian or Asian or whatever else that might be. And so I was here in Washington attending this conference for Board of Governors, Board of Trustees. And we were just talking about the issues that surround diversity and inclusion on campuses. And first of all, there was a few thoughts that came to my mind that I really wanted to share. It was really apparent about how the differences are between Canada and the US and the cultural issues that we deal with. Here they focus a lot on blacks and whites, where in Canada we talk a lot about all minorities. And so that was a huge difference for me, just listening to the discussion. But a lot of it goes down to the type of, some of the conversations that I was having around internationalizing universities and programs. It really came down to the mindset. Some of the struggles that these students come in with, who, they might have come from a different country, especially if you're looking to set immigrants. A lot of the times they're having confidence issues because of the fact that they're coming to a new country, everything's new. They're trying to find things that are familiar to them and trying to create a sense of belonging. And when they are in when they come to this new country, they feel their foundation is all shaken up. And just imagine yourself, if you were going to a new country and where you don't really know the language, you don't know the customs of the culture, and you're trying to also educate yourself, you have a real burning desire of why you're here, of what you're trying to achieve, but you don't even have the basics of how to catch the bus, or what the culture looks like, or what cultural nuances there are. And just imagine how that would make you feel. And so after these discussions I was having, I kind of mentioned, I'm like, a lot has to do with the mindset. These individuals come here and they don't have the support systems in place, or they might have some support systems, or there might be other immigrants who are here to try to make money and trying to just send money back home, and because that's their driving factor, and they don't see the role models in the universities, or they don't see the role models in the workplace, and that provides a huge impact on what their success rate is when they're in school. And a lot of the other things that happen is they come to these schools and they don't have basic English, and sometimes they know English really, really well, but it's the speaking that they're hesitant on, and that's the thing, they're just hesitant. It's not that they don't know how to speak it, they just don't feel confident in speaking it. And so when we, and I know that I have my own biases, and sometimes I'm not as patient when I'm listening to someone whose English is a second language, even though I grew up in a household where English was a second language. And I travel to countries where English is a second language. And, and it's these biases that come through our minds, and we lose patience. But one of these, some of the things that we need to look at, even at a personal level, and then I'll talk about at an organizational level. Personally, it's really looking at the fact that having patience, if they're using the incorrect word, it's gently telling them, oh, you might want to use this word. It's not about judging them or correcting them or laughing at them. I remember when I went back to India, and I used to speak Punjabi is my second language, and I used to go back home, and we would say the incorrect word, and a few times our family members, our little cousins and stuff, so they would laugh at us. But then afterwards, I'm like, I don't laugh at you when you guys speak English. And they're like, oh yeah. And so when they came to Canada, that was the one thing that stuck with them, that we didn't laugh at each other when the incorrect words were used. We just encouraged each other and taught each other and just had patience. So patience is huge. And then also finding ways to allow to have the Canadian lifestyle, Canadian American lifestyle, in the sense that, if invite them to go do things, invite them to have experiences. Their value system might be different, where they value different experiences and different things, but it's also about asking them what they want to do, and what do they want to see, or what do they want to experience, and that's huge in helping them feel a sense of belonging. And then at an organizational level, it's about really setting these students up for success. They need to have buddies in place where these buddies will help support them through the programs and also help support them through the day-to-day living. But then also putting the, allowing them to, a lot of the times they come here because they've paid money to agents to get here. And they paid a lot of money to get here, but they don't have the basic English skills, and then they struggle when they get to the classes here. So it's not about just looking at them as dollar signs. It's really looking at them as individuals who need to succeed, and how are we going to help them succeed? So if that means additional training, or if that means providing them additional courses, or whatever that is, that's the most important thing. And so, all these things matter. I mean, it goes at an organizational level, even if in the workplace. If immigrants and people who have moved to your country can provide really valuable insights and resources and diverse opinions. So that's why it's so important to hire them. And there's tons of programs to look at how to support, for employers to support the hiring of immigrants. And just one second, there's an announcement at the airport because I'm sitting at the airport. And so it's really looking as an employer of what programs you need to access. As an organization where you're providing services to other individuals, but look at how can you support this segmented population as well. But I also don't, I'm also a strong supporter of supporting those who are first generation. And a lot of the work that I do is with the first generation because they need the support as well. They're trying to balance between both cultures. They are struggling because they're pulled culturally, and then they're also trying to figure out, okay, how do I succeed when they're running into barriers, and there's lack of opportunities as well sometimes. But they have to rise up and take those opportunities and rise up and, network. They need to find champions for them and for their career. They need to look at ways they can develop themselves and put themselves in situations where they're growing and, kind of stepping into new territory. I mean, I was at this conference for Board of Trustees. I was the only Indian person there out of 1,000 plus people. And as I sat there, I felt like, I had this feelings of I didn't belong, or I didn't feel that I, maybe there's a reason why there's no one else here. Why am I here? But then I realized there's gratitude in that as well. There's huge gratitude in the fact that I am there. I am there to support my university, but also trying to create a path for others to step up and support their own way too. So those are my thoughts for today. It's my first Periscope. Thought I'd see how it goes, and look forward to talking to you soon.